listening to the Deep Purple Podcast, a fan podcast devoted to one of the greatest bands in rock history, Deep Purple. Your hosts, Nate and John, cover their shared history with the band, discover new music together, and cover the farthest reaches of the Deep Purple family tree and beyond. Here's Nate and John now.
Welcome to the Deep Purple Podcast, a fan podcast devoted to one of the greatest bands in rock history, Deep Purple. Today's episode is episode number 310, Deep Purple Gemini Suite. And coming to you from the suburbs of Chicago, where mice are living in my car, I'm your host, Hank Beaudry.
And coming to you from the suburbs of Providence, I'm your co-host, John Spudless McGee Matola.
Spudless McGee. That means, well, you don't want any spuds?
Oh, since it's Ireland loves potatoes, and I haven't been having any of you people's pictures of Irish food in our text group. That's me.
Yeah, he's not liking the corned beef. Well, it's not even really Irish food. It's American Irish food.
American Irish. Well, it's like we're recording on St. Patrick's Day, and I feel like you, from what I've seen, you guys have posted a bunch of pictures. Or has it been just you? I don't even
No,
know.
it was Pete and Mark and me. And
I
keeping
just
with the green Irish theme, if I tilt this over a little bit, look who's holding my microphone.
Oh, the Incredible Hulk hand.
Yeah, that was also related to our chat today.
Hey.
So I found my Hulk hand in the basement, and now it's holding my... maybe I can just put it a little to the side like this. All right.
But yeah, I have, I'm not really... And I like it. You were just like, how about this? And I'm like, nah, how about this? Yeah, it's okay. How about this? Absolutely not. Like, just trying to see if I like any.
Yeah, you don't even like the Reuben sandwich, which is a classic.
Irish soda bread
with the leftovers.
Okay. Irish soda bread's okay.
After dessert, I toasted up a couple of nice thick slices of soda bread, slathered some Kerrygold butter, and sprinkled some sugar on it. Delicioso.
Right. There you go.
Now we're talking.
So we're recording on St. Patty's Day. So I see you got the green going from even the green Hulk hand matches your shirt right now.
That's right. My Skinnered Reconsidered shirt, which happens to be green. It's like every year I don't wear green on St. Patrick's Day, and this year just by accident I did wear green.
It's an olive green, so it feels very authentic. So
yes, exactly.
What do you call an Irishman who sits in your backyard?
What's that?
Patio furniture.
Oh yeah, Hey-o! Of course, a classic. My favorite joke, and much to my chagrin, my son told it at Boy Scouts because they do an open mic thing. Like, anybody got any jokes? And he told this joke as an Irish guy, and he finds a lamp and he rubs it, and the genie comes out and says, "What do you want for your wish? You have 3 wishes. What do you want for your first wish?" Says, "I want a beer glass that when I drink all the beer from it, it fills back up with beer." And he's like, "Okay." And he gives him the glass, and he drinks all the beer, and it fills back up, and he drinks it again, and it fills back up. And he's like, "Wow, this is amazing." And the genie says, "What about your other 2 wishes?" He says, "I'll have 2 more of these."
It's actually not bad.
That's pretty good. It's a pretty good one, I thought.
Yeah.
It killed at the Boy Scout meeting. I think because there was an 8-year-old telling the joke.
Yeah. Well, it's very it's very non-offensive. So
yes, exactly. I feel like I have a lot of visual stuff all around me on my messy desk that I need to go over today. But so there were mice. My car was leaking some sort of fluid, and I took it in And they're like, yeah, mice were living in your engine and chewed through your fuel injector line.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so I had to get it fixed. When I was in New York, there were several times that rats were living in my engine, so mice isn't so bad.
Wow. It's weird because I've heard this story more times now in my life than I ever have. Like people, and we don't even live near each other now. So it's like I've heard these stories about things living under the hood of like with people that I work with. And I'm just like, wow, really? I mean, I knew it was a thing. I didn't realize it was so common.
Well, we had a super, super cold winter too. So I'm sure, I pull in from work. It's a nice warm car. They just jump up in there and hang out and chew through fuel injector lines for some reason.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
We had a very cold winter. It was 50 today. And I was just like, oh my God, this is crazy. I was walking around outside with a t-shirt on. It felt warm. I'm like, this is not really t-shirt weather, but
well,
anyway.
I mean, isn't like 50 warm when you've been walking around like 20 below?
Yeah, it is really nice after that. And so there you have it. And then
there I do, yeah.
And the reason I called myself Hank is because I went to Starbucks for my daughter on her way to her doctor, and they said, what's your name? And I said, Nate. And they gave me this.
Was it? It's kind of bright. Hank. What? How did they get Hank out of Nate?
Usually people just assume I'm named Nick, but I'm Hank now.
Okay.
So there you go. All right. St. Patrick's Day. I don't like Guinness, so I'm drinking a Golden Monkey.
Hey, wait a minute. Didn't I have a Golden Monkey when we were in Philly?
I think all three of us. Oh, maybe not Rich. He doesn't really like beer. You and I definitely did.
Oh, yeah. I had a couple
at
of
that
them.
place. Wasn't the place named something Monkey?
Yeah, like the Three Monkeys.
Or the Brass Monkeys? No, that's a Beastie Boys song.
No, I think it was I think it was called the Three Monkeys.
The Three Monkeys, we were calling ourselves
monkey.
The Three Monkeys, yeah.
Right, and then and then they had the that monkey beer, and I liked it, and you're just like, ooh, be careful with that. And I'm like, I'll have 2 more of these. I was like the guy with the lamp,
Yes. They didn't refill it. It packs a punch though. It's 9.5%. So I'll be sipping this slowly on this St. Patrick's Day.
That's why I wanted more.
But hey, folks, if you like the Deep Purple podcast, even if you just tolerate us, consider becoming a patron. This show is 100% listener supported and ad free. So if you receive some value from our show, please consider giving us some value back in the form of donations. You can also leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcast, buy some merch at our Etsy store, and become a patron on Patreon or on PayPal. Super thanks are available on YouTube. And if you're a patron, you can also do something which one of our patrons did this week.
Patron upgrade.
That's right. Weston Supermare Pilgrim, who we got a ton of patrons and their credit cards expire. So they're like, oh, instead of just renewing his credit card, he renewed and upgraded. So let Weston Supermare Pilgrim be an example for all of you. When your credit card expires, don't just go back. When you started donating, you were probably like, these guys, this is a pretty good podcast. But now you've had the chance to marinate, listen to us every week. And now you're like, wow, this is amazing. $3, not enough. $5, not enough. I'm going for the top.
Yeah, well, like during the I think it's a Patreon segment or the donation segment of Pot of Thunder, as Chris L says, Till's been a little light.
Yeah, exactly.
Till's looking a little light.
It's feeling a little light.
Till's feeling a little light, so fork it over.
But we appreciate everybody who listens, whether you donate or not.
Pony up.
Pony up. So speaking of our patrons at our executive level, top level of patrons, we got at the in memoriam tier, the wonderful late Gerald, Jerry, Kelly, and family. At the $25 uncommon man tier, we have Ovis, Nakfi, and Purple Maniac. At the 15 squid tier, we have Alan. At the $11 tier, Clay Wambacher, Frank Thielgard Mortensen, Mikkel Steen, Will Porter, PhD, PP, and Michael, don't call him Bradford Bagford. At the $10 Someone Came tier, Ryan M., Jeff Bryce, Victor Campos, Better Call Saul Evans. And Peter from Illinois. And at the Deep Thoughts by John Matola tier, we have Fielding Fowler.
And now, Deep Thoughts by John Matola.
Wait a minute. I lost it.
Thank you so much to all of you for your generous support of the Deep Purple podcast. All right. So here we are. What's that?
Wait a minute.
What?
What happened to somebody get me some doctors?
Oh, sorry, Dr. Mike Catan. Maybe he's been disbarred. What do they call it when you aren't a doctor?
Disbarred?
Anymore?
That's a lawyer.
I know.
That's a
What's
lawyer.
the disbarred equivalent of a doctor?
Oh, I feel like I know this.
Yeah. But hopefully that didn't happen.
Fired? No.
Yes, I guess.
Fire. What do you call it?
It's worse than being fired because it's like you're fired and you can no longer be in your profession at all. That's like,
well, I know that
bad.
it's like you're like sued for malpractice, but like what happens after that? Like,
well, you don't necessarily lose your job from that. You could get sued.
well, what do you call a doctor that is no longer a doctor because
they're a bad doctor?
Yeah,
I have
because
to ask my initial doctor,
fired?
my first doctor that I ever had as an adult, had that happen to him because he was prescribing himself like OxyContin and stuff or whatever, if that was even out back then. But yeah, so I had him for about a year, and then I was like, oh yeah, he's not around anymore. You might have read about him in the news. Yeah.
Wow. I don't know.
And the same thing happened to one of Jen's doctors, actually, which I won't get into, but I guess I'll tell you offline. It's pretty bad.
Tell me offline. We don't want
to. It was national news how he lost his job. So yeah, you could probably put two and two together on that one. But
now they call him Doc Holliday because he's got all the time off.
Hey-o.
Hi-oh.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, so we'll get back to you on what happens when you've been doctor. Yeah, I mean, I guess there's different levels. Well, you can be fired, but you're still a doctor. Then there's like the thing where they remove you from being a doctor, and then there's like remove you from being doctor and put you in jail, which is what happened to the doctor I previously mentioned.
Right.
Actually, both of them, because you can't really. I guess if you do so badly that you're going to not be able to be a doctor anymore, you're probably going to prison. What was that?
What?
Did you hear that? I heard
What is it?
I heard like a really quiet. Were you using your cough switch?
Oh yeah.
Oh, when you put it on, I heard myself like saying back the words like really super quiet. I'm sure it'll get cut off on the audio, but it was very strange.
No, I actually have been getting a little bit of delay. I'm not hearing it now, but I got a little toward the beginning. I kind of faintly heard myself like echoed back. So, wait a minute. Is it? I don't know if there's a word for it. They call it like stripped of their medical license.
De-doctor, disrobed,
de-doctored,
de-doctored,
disrobed. No, isn't disrobed? Isn't that like a priest?
Defrocked. Yes,
defrocked. What do you call that? Like de-stethoscoped?
It's like in the cop movie, like hand in your stethoscope and your blood pressure monitor and put them on my desk. All right, Serpico, Dr. Serpico.
Oh shit.
Okay, right, so anyway, we went to Kalamazoo.
I saw.
And there was a place where you could make your own, the Kalamazoo Candle Company, where you could make your own candle. And they had all these different scents. So I made a Deep Purple themed candle called Bananas. And it's scented like bananas. So we don't unfortunately have smell-o-vision yet on our podcast, but I'm going to light this bad boy for the first time. and it already smells like bananas.
Wow, well, that's pretty cool. I mean, it's probably the only. I don't know. I feel like that's the easiest Deep Purple album that you could make a candle out of.
Yeah, I was like, oh man, if only they had an album called Fresh Laundry, but they didn't. So
in rock, you can make it smell like minerals,
like rocks, like burning rocks. You have a lava scented.
Yeah, it has a lava scented candle. There you go.
Okay, so apparently it's called delicensed when a doctor loses their. It just doesn't. It doesn't sound as fun.
No, it doesn't have the punch to it. Like,
we should make it a more fun word for this life ruining experience that a doctor can go through.
Well, they say like disbarred, and like it has
defrocked,
ring defrocked, and then you're just like delicensed.
And the cop has to put their badge and their gun on the chief's desk. It's like this ceremony, and I think we need to do something similar for doctors. They have to hand in all their tongue depressors, and then they're like, go out of the room, and the guy's like, hey, are you sure you gave all of them? And they're like, all right. They pick out like 3 more tongue depressors, and but anyway, we're not here to talk about doctors losing their jobs. Oh, apparently we are, but only for about 15 minutes. Then we're going to talk about Deep Purple. So if you're new to the show, sorry, that's usually what happens. But Gemini Suite, John, we've covered Gemini Suite a couple hundred episodes ago, actually, the John Lord studio album. And we talked about it a bit at the time, but we've never covered the Deep Purple performance, the one and only recorded Deep Purple performance of the Gemini Suite. Have you ever heard this? Do you have any memories of it?
I don't know. Have we ever listened to it on the show, like even clips or?
I don't think we've even listened to clips, but if I'll put in front of the candle here. Oh, the candle's too close. That's the cover.
Yep, I am familiar with this this series of CDs. Definitely familiar with the picture, but I knew they did the Gemini Suite live. I just don't think I've heard it. No. Yeah,
it's part of the RPM collection. So like, there's a lot of different ones. It's one of those ones that I think like Butterfly Ball is this way, and it like it folds out like this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really hard to scan and read. But it's really, really great liner notes on this one. And I've got my little, made in England sticker on the back there somewhere. I had picked this up. I remember I was with my buddy Chris at the HMV in Boston. And it was one of those things that popped up, and I didn't really know anything about it, but I remembered from years earlier the concerto, and I saw this and I thought, it's another sort of classical sort of adventure for them in 3 movements. So it was made in England. It was an import, so it was like probably fairly expensive at like probably $17 or $18 back in the early mid 90s, which was a lot for a CD back then.
Oh yeah.
But I saw it and I was like, yeah. But I saw it and I was like, well, when am I ever going to see this again? Who knows? I got to pick this up and check it out. And yeah, put it right into my collection, listen to it as soon as I got home. And I remember thinking like at the time that it's really interesting and I liked it, but it wasn't one due to the subject matter that I put on all the time, because it was, it's a little more, I don't know what the word is, a little more stuffy than your average Deep Purple album, but it's pretty cool. They released this in 1993. So maybe I was getting it in 1995 or somewhere around then. I don't remember. This is the cover art for it, which is actually a familiar picture. If I'm not mistaken, without looking it up, this picture is actually from a year earlier, 1969. Is the first picture of Mark II during their first photo shoot. I want to say it was like, would it have been June? No, it would have probably been July-ish of 1969. The first picture of them all together, kind of officially. But it's interesting because this isn't from the performance, and I don't know if it's because they hadn't associated any pictures yet with the performance, because later on this is the back cover, and that back cover is how they all looked on the actual day of the performance, that's what they were all wearing.
Yeah.
Gillen's hair is much longer. Richie is looking a little more. I don't know.
Well,
what the word
everybody's hair is longer. Roger has a beard, which
Yep.
he didn't have no beard for very long.
Yeah, it's short hair and these huge mutton chops on the cover, on the back cover. So yeah, I guess they knew about this, but then later they release it with essentially the same design, but they put an actual photo from that day on the cover. This is the 1999 release, and then they released it again in 2006 with yet another in the series, so you could see. Well, actually, no, it's the same picture. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. The first one's a little grittier.
This one's grittier. Yeah, the picture of Ian Pace could use a little. Ian Pace is looking bored and disassociated.
Well, you can also see Gillen's cigarette in the second one.
That's right. They get a little more risque showing that there. But yeah, it's a great little package here. There's a few different versions of it. I had this one. I never got any of the other versions.
Yeah, I don't think that I mean, I've definitely seen that original version you showed me where Roger's in the center of the picture, but it's like, I mean, who knows? Maybe I did buy it. Maybe you bought it and I saw you had it, and that's
you
how I
probably saw it
remember
lying around in my room at some point.
Yeah. I mean, I kept all my CDs and cassettes, so I mean, you know, they're packed away somewhere. So I'm sure if I dig through, I'd probably find I don't know, maybe I'd find it, maybe I wouldn't. But if I have heard it, it's been a while.
Many years ago, when I moved to New York, I had ripped all of my CDs to my computer. And unfortunately, this is like 2004, so I did them all in like 160 bit rate. So it's like not the best, but it was like, oh, hard drive space was at a premium, and I kind of kicked myself after that. But I got rid of a bunch of my CDs. But I never would touch the Deep Purple ones because I was just like, no, it was too much of a collection and too much of a hunt, and so many imports that were hard to find. So I kept all of those. And then over the years, I've re-ripped them in like 320 bit rate and all that. So, just so I have a better quality of them for the ones that I listen to more often. So yeah, that's my story of Gemini Suite. And I think I remember being confused because seeing the John Lord version at the same time and wondering like, well, what's the difference? One of them is John Lord, one of them Deep Purple. So I was like, well, I'm going with Deep Purple. Even though the other one had Yvonne Elliman and John Lord and Albert Lee and all that. So, but anyway, that's the Gemini Suite. We've got, what's the background here? So I'll put a link in the show notes to our John Lord Gemini Suite episode because there's a bunch of stuff in there. But basically, they performed this and recorded it on September 17th, 1970. John Lord had obviously been obsessed with doing these rock classical mergers. He did some in his previous band, the Artwoods, and they had almost actually, with the New Jazz Orchestra, had on their 1966 debut album that we reviewed, they considered working with a German conductor, but it never really materialized. Then obviously on the Book of Taliesin, on Anthem, they do this kind of orchestral thing. Culminates with April in the Mark III lineup, and then immediately after Mark III, before Mark II even had anything released, they do the concerto, and they do this big performance with the new members of the band. But as we've discussed in previous episodes, the band wasn't 100% on board with this. It caused a lot of friction to the point where John Lord almost left the band because he was like feeling like there was this tension. Richie was not interested in doing this anymore. And not even that he didn't like it because he liked that style of music, but I think he felt like this was really pigeonholing them into being this weird novelty act where, oh, look at these guys, they perform with an orchestra, which, I mean, I think as awesome as I think all of these adventures are, I think he was right to think that because there was so much more to them and they didn't want to get just classified that way.
Right.
And then obviously after the concerto, they had one last concerto date to fulfill at the Hollywood Bowl where the score to the concerto mysteriously vanished. And we all have our theories as to where it could be. So then Lord was commissioned to write this other one. He writes it, and again, they performed it once. with the Orchestra of the Light Music Society, conducted once again by Malcolm Arnold. And the band was really very much like, we don't want to promote this, no posters. We just want to do it, record it, and kind of get it over with. And in Ian Gillan's biography, Child in Time, he says Blackmore went, quote, berserk when he saw promotional posters for the for this concert, and said that the concerto had become a millstone around their neck. So he really wanted to distance himself from this. They get through it. They get past it. And they do this with Malcolm Arnold again as the composer. As the conductor. And the orchestra is the Orchestra of the Light Music Society. They don't have a ton of stuff on Discogs, but they'd worked with Percy Grainger and Sir Vivian Dunn. So I think it was very much, there's really not much out there about them. So if you guys know anything about it, please let me know. But their name very much, and their discography states like Light Music Society means they were doing like light music, like Light FM, or whatever they called that back in the 60s. So they played with like a bunch of, I don't know, British James Taylors. Whatever you would, I guess, Percy. I don't know much about Percy Grainger, but I have a feeling people are going to write in and tell me about him. All right, so before we start up the Gemini Suite, do we want to thank the next level of patrons?
I mean, what do you think?
I mean, do you want to? It doesn't matter if you want to or not. We have to.
All right, what if I say I don't want to?
Well, tough shit.
Oh, okay. All right, then let's thank the next level of patrons.
All right, let's do it. At our core level patrons, coming in at the $6.99 new nice price tier, we have Spike the Rock Cat and Sugar Tea. At the episode $6.66 tier, we have Mr. Steve Coldwell.
Steve.
Arthur Smith.
Getting support from the patron Arthur Smith.
Anton Glaving.
Pain in the glaving.
And Charles Meadows. At the $6.65 almost evil tier, we have Kenny Wymore and Richie Sucksmith. At the 70 Norwegian kroner tier, we have Kai Runa. Yes, I'm Norwegian Olsen. At the $5.99 the nice price tier, Robert Smith and Carl Hellberg. At the 60 kroner Scandinavian Nights tier, DJ Newt Morton Johansson. At the €5.50 tier, we have Merline Rota. At the $5 money lender tier, John Convery, German Heindel, Adrian Hernandez, Jesper Alman, Alexei the Perfect Stranger Slepikoff, Kev Roberts, Percival Frequency, Scott Zern, Cynthia Doobie, Raf Calf.
My Czechoslovakian is not so good.
Coyote Bongwater. John Maselli.
Hey, how's your rugs?
Wet.
Yeah, how's your baby?
Oh, wet.
Hey, how's your wife?
Hey, don't ask.
Sarah Sanders.
No, Kelly Clarkson!
Jelly Bean, Evan Robeson, Richard Fusey, and Purple Swede.
Swede?
Thank you so much for your generous support of the Deep Purple podcast. All right. So here we go. Off into our time capsule, 55 years in the past. Oh my goodness.
Woo.
The venue, Royal Festival Hall. The band, Deep Purple. The performance, Gemini Suite. Let's get it started. Right into the timpani. My daughter had a big concert yesterday. She's in the orchestra for school, and as we left, we had to walk right by all the timpani, and it was like very hard not to just start jamming out on all of them. It looks so much fun. Guitar's a little low in the mix.
I could immediately hear it.
It's so awesome. So this was written in 3 movements. Each movement having sections that were featuring a certain player. So it was really written for Deep Purple with them in mind. First movement focusing on guitar and voice. And this is one where he was using his Gibson ES 355. Much the same as the concerto. But almost a year to the day later than the concerto.
Yeah, already is. I mean, we didn't hear a lot of guitar so far, but it sounded a little. I don't know. He sounded a little different, you know.
Yeah.
His contested his playing just got better.
Reminds me of The Warning by Black Sabbath, this part.
Yeah, I was going to say is his trills at the beginning too sounded very Sabbath-like. Very cool.
So it said Vincent Budd, who wrote the liner notes on one of the versions. I can't remember which one, not the one that I have, but he's a great guy. I've chatted with him back and forth a few times, but he says about this that this first movement appears to pay homage to the opening of Galliard of the Sons of the Morning by Job by Vaughan Williams. So I'll put a link to that in the show notes. It's a shame that this wasn't videoed, because the video of the concerto is just so much fun to watch.
I think that's why I really got into the concerto more, even though this sounds more. I mean, it probably was more well thought out.
Yeah.
But I mean, the concerto, you always had just that visual to go back to. I mean, to see them in the Royal Albert Hall surrounded by the orchestra in their flowy late 60s garb, and
Ian Gillan in his like velour tracksuit.
yeah, I mean, it was so cool.
Yeah. But yeah, this one.
So yeah, I feel if this had like a video to go along with it, probably would have been watching this a lot as well.
There was that little You Fool No One there. Diddle 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 diddle. Classic Richie right there. Almost like this like discordant sort of. So the drum movement doesn't even come till towards the end. But I feel like Pacey is really having some good highlights here and some nice fills.
Very guitar solo heavy.
Yeah. So much the way we talked about Richie over the years, writing the same song again and again, you know what I mean? But not in a bad way, but just trying to like go for the style of a song again and refining it. It's like John Lord's doing the same thing. It's like, let's do another band and orchestra thing. Let's make it even tighter and make it more well thought out.
I mean, it already does.
Yeah, the back and forth in the concerto there wasn't as much playing together, I feel like, as there is in this. It was more like a back and forth.
Yeah. And I mean, Richie's playing is much better in this.
It's pretty damn good on the concerto, though. But he's advancing at like an astronomical rate at this point. Even the difference between 6 months between Book of Tellison and Deep Purple 3, he's improved so much. I love Richie's like ability to mess with the dynamics here. It's just like listening to, I want to say, regular classic music, in that you turn your volume way up and all of a sudden you're going to blast your eardrums out. So this is halfway through the first movement. So I'm assuming we're going to move on to the voice part pretty soon. Or it's like watching a TV show on Netflix. And it's like people are talking, you can't hear them, you turn up the volume, and then there's an action scene and you're waking up your neighbors.
Yeah.
It's the first time I recognize the organ being played on this so far.
Yeah, there is a lot more integrated band and orchestra than there was in the concerto.
Yeah.
That's one big way that you can tell now, like if you compare the two of them, that this one was a little more thought out, a lot more thought out than the concerto. Yeah.
Now I see. I just looked this up, and different releases, like this one says this is guitar and voice. Man, I just looked it up and it says first movement guitar organ. Some editions misprint the first movement as guitar voice. So. Because I was seeing conflicting information. I didn't know which was right.
Like Lord doesn't really have the distorted organ thing
Yeah, I
going
feel like
that-
he had it more during the concerto. This is more of like a standard organ.
And it's not bad, but I mean, so far I think Richie's solo parts were more dynamic than Lord's. See, that's like typical Lord right there, but it's, you know, he doesn't have the distortion on it. It's like a clean organ, you know?
Yeah.
Interesting though. It's interesting to hear.
Throws in a little Gershwin, of course. So I guess there were two different versions of this building, or is heavily renovated in 2007. I'm looking at where this is. I don't know if they do like plays and things here, but this might be where I saw Les Miserables with Paul.
The Royal Festival Hall.
Yeah, seats 2,700. And it's got a built-in organ. I wonder if he was using that organ. No, I'm sure somebody would have said something about it. But it's a 7,866 pipe organ built during the 50s.
I think he was using that a little bit.
It would have been cool. It would have been hard to resist. It was removed in the 2000s because it was basically impossible to maintain. We had one of those giant organs in my church. It's pretty cool. Like built into the walls.
Ah, that's nuts.
Yeah, Beverly used to rock out on that thing, man. She's had like all the bell noises and everything. It was crazy.
Wow. I have a giant organ. Strapped to my thigh.
It's also built into the building.
I couldn't resist.
It's like the Lars joke at the Hall of Fame. I'd never seen a man handle his organ like that before. Of course, I was only 9. Yeah, so it's in London. This hall. The closest tube stations are Waterloo, and I know I have a picture of the Waterloo tube station from our trip, so maybe this is the place. I know, I got a picture of when Paul's father passed away. I got their London pictures from our trip. They had some great pictures of the Albert Hall and stuff. It's like we were so near where all this history took place, and we didn't even really realize that we're too young and stupid to take advantage of it.
Oh boy. Oh.
So this is still the organ. We're kind of wrapping up the organ section here. I feel like he didn't get as much time to shine as Richie did. Spoke too soon. Getting crazy here. Ooh. How do you do that on an organ?
Wow.
Oh. It's very much like the end of the concerto. Bum, bum. All right.
Signature concerto. Bump, bump. I love it when they do that. Love it when they do that. Bump, bump.
All right, second movement. Second verse, same as the first. This one is voice and bass. And the legend goes that Gillan was once again writing his lyrics right before this started. He apparently they had done a performance before this.
Mm-hmm.
What did they do? Oh, Rhapsody in Blue. So maybe that's why Lord threw that in there. Although he's been known to do that anyway, but they did Rhapsody in Blue while that was going on. Gillan was like writing lyrics down.
I don't doubt it.
And you'd think, like, you know, when that happened during the concerto, it's like, man, you're the new guy, and you're not even like, you're already at this level, no pretense, and now it's like a year later and you're still doing it. But again, when you can sing like Ian Gillan, you can get away with that. If I was writing my lyrics beforehand and then I croaked out some nonsense, they'd be like, get this guy out of here. Of course, they did parts of this for Windows with Coverdale and Ashton and Hughes. So this did have a few little rebirths or second, third lives. Here he goes. Did Hughes do this part? Can't remember on Windows.
Would have made sense.
I just remember those two, those German ladies who did the singing before. They were sounded real crazy. So I think this is the shortest of the three movements. And the drums in the big finale are the third movement.
I really like this, yeah.
It's nice.
You know, like that Gillan has more vocal time.
Yeah, it was extremely limited in the concerto. The parts he sang were great, though.
Yeah.
Ooh. Nice. Ooh, that was tasty.
So I'm assuming they turned up Roger for this part to make it the bass part.
It was pretty great. Well, no, oh yeah, because I guess he does his bass part after. But this is probably like there where they're intermingling. Whenever I hear Gillan singing in this context, I can't help but think of Jesus Christ Superstar. It's just sounds so good.
Yeah, I mean, he's amazing right now.
Got a pretty nasty bass tone. I don't know if he was switched to the Rickenbacker yet, if he's still using that old Fender. It's got that really cool, like, overdriven sound to it.
Yeah, it's hard for me to tell. Even like little parts of this, like with the horns in the background, everything almost sounds like it's like part of like a horror soundtrack.
Yeah, there's been a few sections that really sounded like the violins just. Nice. It's playing soft now, and you can really, it's not distorting unless he plays really hard. He's playing with a pick here, whereas he played with his fingers during the concerto. Simon Robinson says in his liner notes that he said Glover adopted a rather casual approach for his break, though maybe his idea was to inject a little humor into the proceedings, which it certainly sounded like just there. Vincent Budd says that this bit brings in bits of the miraculous Mandarin, as well as some of the worlds of Virgil Williams. I will take his word for that, because I do not know either. And then also in the show notes, I'll have Vincent Budd compares the vocal movement reminiscent of Elgar's Sauceberry for strings. Okay. You can listen there and decide for yourself. Yep. I think there was a premature clapping there.
Fake claps.
A little bit of a lull before the main ending of this movement.
Nice. Very musical.
It sounded like when you beat a level at a video game. Doo, 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 and then you go on to the next. So Bud compares Ian's drumming to that of Gene Krupa in this section. Something I'm sure Ian Pace would not be disappointed to hear. So I said we just went to my daughter's string ensemble yesterday where they had all the 4th and 5th graders from the entire district playing in a giant gymnasium. They sounded great.
Really?
Yeah, I was shocked.
Well, that's good.
I don't know if it's just the sheer number of string players, but I was like, wow, I mean, they're 4th graders. I wasn't expecting it to, but it was really, the seniors actually came in and did the national anthem to start off and sounded amazing.
Well, that's good. I mean, you don't want to waste your time listening to a bunch of hacks.
Oh, these 9-year-old hacks. You suck. Start booing.
See, that's why you don't invite me. You stink. Keep practicing. Better yet, quit.
Yeah, see, very encouraging. Keep practicing. You're not there yet, but you'll get there.
And then I turn to you. What?
What? What's the problem?
What? Oh, yeah. You can tell this is early Ian Pace drum solo.
Yeah. It's so much speed, man. Oh. So what was he?
Young.
22? He would have been 22 at this point. So many, I don't have a great knowledge of the drums, but I know if you could just play me various people just playing the snare drum, I'd be able to pick out Ian Pace. Oh, nice. He's kind of almost like going into like a sing, sing, sing there.
Nice. I mean, I've said it before. I've never really a drum guy because it's not my instrument, but man, I knew way back when I first heard Ian Pace play, I was just like, wow, that's just some wild shit. Like, you can't deny that.
Yep.
Like, very, very underrated in the larger conversation of great drummers.
Yeah, he just doesn't get the Neil Peart and Keith Moon and
John
Bonham. Yeah, he doesn't get mentioned in the same breath as those guys.
Well, there's one difference though. He's still alive.
Yes, it's true.
First of all.
Yeah, he made it 40 to 50 years longer than those other guys, and
yeah.
But Peart, when did Neil Peart die? Like
recently,
actually. 6 years ago, 7 years ago, something like that.
But he'd also quit.
Yeah, they kind of ended because I think he was pretty sick.
I mean, now with the through the lens of age, you can see, like, being older, you can understand why some of these musicians, as they've gotten older, they're like, oh, I retired from playing the drums. And like, if I were younger, I'd be like, why? Now I'm like, oh, okay, I see why. That would be like if my dad was playing the drums. It's like it's gonna be exhausted after like 3 minutes.
Yeah, Ian says in interviews pretty regularly that he's afraid if he stops playing that he'll never play again. Like he's just like, I have to keep playing. That's why even when Deep Purple's not touring, he's touring with his band Perpendicular, because he's just afraid if he stops, which I totally understand. I think it's probably true for all of them, but the most true of the drummer because it's such a physical instrument.
Yeah, I mean, amazing that he's still going and still sounding great. So how much more do we have here? Is that it, or?
So that's the end of the drums. Now it's just the finale for the whole band. So yeah, we're in like the last 10 minutes or so.
I would say out of all the like individual band, I would say that Ritchie and Pacey and Gillan stood out the most. Like as being like my favorites. I feel like, I mean, I would say, I don't know, maybe the bass isn't as easy to do, but it sounded like Roger was kind of making it up as he went along a little bit.
Yeah, I think it was largely improvisational. Well, I'm sure Ritchie too was improvised.
I mean, not that it was bad, but I would say like,
well, it was
Roger,
brief. It was like Rogers. He didn't do like duration wise. He didn't do anything near what Ritchie did.
And even John Lord too. Like, I was kind of surprised because I don't know. I expected maybe a little more something, virtuoso from him.
Yeah.
But nothing bad on this album. It's actually, I'm pleasantly surprised. Like, I feel like this is a little more accessible than the concerto, like you would listen to this and be like, oh, this is something I could put on, because you got little different sections that you can grab onto.
Yeah. I wonder why the decision was for, because you figure all of them are being largely improvisational. So I wonder why they didn't do the same with Gillan, doing something like you would do on Gethsemane or, you know what I mean? Something like that, a little bit more unscripted, like Great Gig in the Sky, something that's vocally based, but not necessarily with written words, just kind of. I don't know. There's got to be a reason why, but. Because it's like something like Gethsemane is amazing, but the most amazing parts are where he's just taking one word and going with it for 8 bars or whatever, turning it into this amazing vocal performance. Because by this point, they'd heard Jesus Christ Superstar. They knew what it was. And obviously, they'd been working with him for a year and knew what he was capable of. I'm sure he was doing this at shows.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm seeing my computer screen wave in the heat of this candle.
Yeah, don't put it too close. Is it like banana-rama over there?
I think I'm used to. I can still smell it a little bit, but if I like went upstairs for 5 minutes and came back downstairs, I'd probably be like, "What the hell's going on?"
Who's baking banana bread in the studio?
Little hot wax here. Listen to those horns. They're going crazy.
Oh, listen to this. Grooving out.
It's like they're barely hanging on right there.
I know. It's so whimsical sounding. It's funny.
Sounded like a very 60s pop kind of song when the organ came in.
I mean, man, Richie was on fire on this performance.
Yeah, this is great.
I'm not hearing anything that I don't like from him.
There's not much he did from 69 on that is you can basically question at all. We talk about those first two albums all the time, but
well, I will say that from the first couple of albums, listening back to Smoke on the podcast.
Yep.
I have been listening, and we get to the Book of Taliesin. Now that I hear it again, for the umpteenth time since we started the show, now I'm starting to think, okay, still, I hate his playing on the first album. I think it's atrocious. Nothing can change my mind about that. But when you get to the second album, I'm like, all right, it's not as egregious as I once thought it was. I used to lump those two together.
I feel
more.
like there are that sounds like a old school anime sort of. They always have those horn heavy performances. Sounds like an early Dragon Ball episode.
Well, that sounded like when Garfield Halloween special when he saw the he saw the friggin' ghost pirates and the But yeah, I will say that I've gotten to appreciate some aspects of Richie's playing, at least on the second album, a little bit. I mean, when we finally got to the 1970s, there was no touching them.
No, yeah, I mean,
It's
January
almost like
1st.
somebody flipped the switch of a new decade, and it's like Richie's like, all right, I'm going to be great now.
I don't think there's anything on the third album that I would say is not great from him.
No, yeah, he
And-
definitely was way better, but he
But I
still
feel
wasn't
like
the style.
Book
that
of
he
Taliesin
became.
had a lot. I guess it was more consistent, but I feel like the bad parts of his playing were some of the worst. Like
Yeah,
even
yeah.
worse than the first album. Like We Can Work It Out, those guitar fills he does on it.
Oh,
I wanted to go through and like sample all of those so I could throw them into our shows. I gotta do that.
oh,
They're just,
yeah, please. Oh, yeah, pew. Ugh.
and that's not the smell of bananas you're smelling right now.
But anyway, back to good music, which is what we're hearing now.
Yeah, those horns though going crazy now.
I like that.
Zoom edited all of that out, but I saw you going like the,
You know what I
know.
was doing.
They all got out their plungers and Did you hear my dog? As soon as I hit the high note, my dog started barking.
Was that?
I was
thought that
literally about to say, man, only a dog could hear that. And
I was going to say, I thought that was part of the recording.
there's a dog outside the festival hall.
Is there? Woof.
The ending was kind of crazy.
Yeah, it was really good.
I liked it, but oh, very cool. Well, there you go. Yeah, I think we should thank some patrons and then get on to our assessment of the performance, our final assessment of the performance. Okay, let's thank some patrons. Here we go. Coming in at our foundation level at the £3.50 tier, we have Lord Longford. At the £3 aromatic feed tier, we have Simon Ford and Richard Brees. And of course, with the old
Patron upgrade.
we have at the €3.50 tier, Weston Supermare Pilgrim. At the 293 pence tier, we have
Blackmore tights.
at the $3.33 halfway to evil tier, we have Stephen Sharp and Duncan Leask.
Hungry horse, hungry horse.
Coming in with by special request. At the $3 Nobody's Perfect tier, we have Peter Gardot, Ian DeRosier, Mark Roback, Stuart McCord, Ivan Fjellbu, Runar Simonson. Ruinous Inadequacies, Corey Morissette, Ashley,
Nate must be stopped. Nate must be stopped.
I should be. Joe Dopefish Sigler. Adam Cork, Tim Wood, Steve Down to Earth Kohler, and at the $1.71 I want my own tier, we have
Rich Yangui Shaylor. Who the hell is that?
At the 10 Danish cold hard Danish kroner tier, we have Karsten Lau.
Cold hard Danish kroner.
And at the $1 made up name tier, we have the Sudden Movement, Leaky Mausoleum, Stephen Somerville, the Concerto 1999 Fanatic, Hank the Tank, Private Eyes, Ashen Lionel, Zwapper the Electric Alchemist, Anders Engstrom, ICDC, Durple Purple, David Haddam, Graham Bonnet's Disco Pants and Haircuts.
I said, Graham, our audience expects you to be a bit more dirty.
Disco pants and haircuts, yeah.
I'm just going to put my guitar across his head.
Eddie Lyon.
Homosexual.
And Sick Tone.
Where is she? Where is she? She's just about to close up the library.
Thank you so much to all of you for your generous support of the Deep Purple podcast.
I'm missing something here.
What are you missing?
Where was that JLT clip?
Which one? We played it earlier.
We did?
This one?
No, not the
Czechoslovakian is not so good.
No, the other one.
Do you guys ever have sex?
That one? I switched back to Czechoslovakian for this episode.
Oh, well. See, I got to hear the other one then.
So you got to hear it anyway.
Yeah. When something is missing that I'm used to, like the Doctor's theme, I'm just like, wait, where is it?
Like, wait a second, I missed the JLT. Well, we have to assign the JLT sex one to somebody else. Just so we can hit it every. I kind of switch it up sometimes.
Yeah.
But we do have, I forgot to say it at the beginning of the episode, but since we have a little time, remember our little postcard mystery that I was telling you about?
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe we should get into that. I know it's a little non-standard, but we got postcards from the Edge, this time of Nashville. So what happened was I got I got 2 postcards in. One said it was the second in a series. The other one said it was the third in a series, so I figured, there's 3 postcards. Didn't get the first one in, and then finally, I got the first one in, but then I also got a 4th, 5th, and 6th postcard in.
Jesus.
Yes, so I have my suspicions who might be involved with this.
I know who Rich is. Rich is my favorite.
But I don't.
I wonder.
I still don't know what's going on. They all come from Nashville. And this first one is, you can't tell because the post people were kind enough to put a sticker right over it, but it says the Opryland Hotel. And it says, Dear Nate, it was great to meet you in Nashville. I've listened to your show and it is good. Your pal, Ralphie.
Okay.
Don't understand. Second verse, same as the first, same postcard. Opryland Hotel, not covered up. Says, Dear Nate, I listened to the second episode. Keep up the great work. Enjoy yourself, Ralphie. So those are the first 2. Then I have 2 identical postcards again from the Grand Old Opry. This one says, Dear Nate, the third episode was good. You are well spoken. John is funny. Regards, Ralphie. The second one from the Opry house. Dear Nate, I'm starting the 4th episode today. John is growing on me. Not as good as you yet. Best, Ralphie.
I don't know if I like this Ralphie.
The next one is a picture of Elvis and a recipe for his pecan pie. It says, Dear Nate, as a thank you for the 5th episode, enjoy Elvis's pecan pie. Do you like pie? So long, Ralphie. And then I want to say the final, but for all I know, there's 10 more en route. Another one. Oops. Mark knocked over my Hulk hand. A vertical of Elvis here from, it says Elvis Presley 1968 TV special. Dear Nate, the 6th episode is the best one yet. Do you like Elvis? Until next time, Ralphie.
The 6th episode, the first and 6 episodes of what, though?
I guess our show. Maybe Ralphie, in quotes, Ralphie, who has, looks like he got somebody else to write for him so that his handwriting wasn't recognizable, is listening to our shows in order, and we'll get a postcard for every episode. Rich, I'm going to need another box. I'm going to need a bigger box. Rich won't get that reference. I'm sorry, Pete won't get that reference.
Yeah, no, Pete doesn't get any references.
Rich will get that reference. So yeah, I don't know. I'm stumped. I mean, I'm not stumped. I know who's behind it. I just don't know what it means. What does it mean? Yeah. What does it all mean? Who's Ralphie? Maybe when this airs, we'll hear from someone, and it could be anybody.
The Christmas Story Ralphie?
That's what I was thinking, but
that's the only famous Ralphie that I know of.
Well, there you go, folks. A postcard mystery continues here on the Deep Purple podcast. I'm just waiting for Ralphie to be like, I've listened to the 10th episode. You guys are way out of line. Ralphie needs to become a patron. Ralphie, there's no one at the $35 a month tier yet. This could be your chance. All right. So, John, the Gemini Suite. What are our final thoughts here?
I thought it was excellent. You know, I mean, I think it was a great window into a band that was on fire. I mean, you could just tell by the way that they were playing, they were sounding, and I mean, I don't know. I still say, like, they were, even though they were like that, you know, doing the orchestra thing for a really short time, you know, they want to get pigeonholed or whatever. I think it's really just what makes them different, you know, and listening back to it, you know, maybe because they did it for such a short time and it makes it so impactful, you know, and that's why I still say that they don't get the credit they deserve for basically inventing that genre. You know,
right. Other people had did it, but not quite as well as them, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, because I mean, the Lord was composing like actual symphonies, you know what I mean? Whether by a composer or classical music standard, like, you know, some professor with a monocle comes over and he's like, that's not real classical.
Very hackneyed and very predictable, pedestrian.
But still, I mean, I thought it was great. I thought everybody sounded great. I thought it was a great snapshot in time for them, and that it was really, after hearing that live performance, more accessible than the concerto. Like I said, I would go back and put that on. I mean, put on the concerto, of course, you know, many times. But like I said, I think there's a little more that you can hang on to because, you know, the different movements seem to be more, I don't know, accessible or delineated from each other. I mean, to this day, I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know where's what in the concerto. You know what I mean? I just kind of listen to it. I'm like, ooh, here's the part where the Richie takes a solo, you know, or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. It feels more cohesive. You know, like the concerto was like a little bit more disjointed for as much as I love it, and it seems like, I don't want to say this is the wrong word, but for lack of a better word, he learned from the mistakes he made during the concerto. And again, I don't think there were mistakes, but like,
well,
he had time to sit on it and marinate with it and say, you know what, this next time I'm going to do this instead or do that instead. And you can see the progression and the learning and the evolution of him as a composer.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like we said before, this definitely feels well more thought out and put together, and the performances, that's what it reflects in too. I mean, especially because, comparatively, you hear the concerto and you hear this and you're like, oh yeah, this sounds like they had way more time to do this. And yeah, I don't know. It was really good. It was a fun listen.
Very fun listen. It's short. I was laughing because when you said this was a short-lived period, I was like, I bet Richie would have a different take on that. Oh, we're doing that crap forever.
Yeah. But I mean, even the the concerto itself was, just not, it didn't feel too long,
Yeah. Yep.
So
one of the releases, I think this is the 2000, which one is this? The 2006, I'm sorry, 2006, not 6. They haven't released that many versions of this. There were 2 contemporary reviews of the music of this performance. The first from Melody Maker, and this is by Roy Hollingworth, and just go through these real quick. Deep Purple, the Royal Festival Hall audiences, from old biddies to freaks and their womenfolk, leapt from their seats and applauded as one body. And rightly so, for the sweaty figure of John Lord with Deep Purple and the Light Music Society Orchestra had joined in triumphal musical fusion for Lord's Gemini Suite. Success! But I'm afraid that it's going to be tagged as Lord's unfinished suite. The final movement had lacked any sort of climax and had actually ground to a messy, abrupt halt. It didn't seem true, actually, as the whole exceptional thing finished on a dead note. I firmly believe there was more to come, but no, that was it. There was even a hushed silence from the audience. They were fooled, too. But then the applause erupted and possibly the annoyance was blown from their minds. The suite started quietly, and the first movement was devoted to Ritchie Blackmore, no mean guitarist, fiddling and fingering a rich variety of notes, which were taken up by the orchestra and proved to be glorious in content. Lord himself took over the next movement, was good, and even wandered off score to mock Rhapsody in Blue, which had been performed during the first half of the evening. The movement relied much on heavy orchestral work and sounded like some gladiatorial march through the streets of ancient Rome. Then came vocals, possible the most critical point of the suite. Were they needed? Yes, they were, and well done. Ian Gillan for handling it all so well. I didn't catch many of the lyrics, but those I did hear were plain, down-to-earth, and meaningful. No mock poetry, thank God. We then drifted through some busy bass work from Roger Glover. He burbled into riffs, the orchestra answered, and some of the musical repartee. Here we had skill and good music again. For me, the most incredible movement was that featuring drummer Ian Pace, who has an apt surname in what in fact was a drum battle between him and the orchestra's large percussion unit. Great stuff, and the audience went wild. Pace was applauded by all, by the rest of Purple, by the orchestra, and the amiable figure of conductor Malcolm Arnold. The final piece saw Purple rocking the orchestra, joining in with thick strings and floating visions. But then the break came suddenly. They were 2 separate bodies, and then it ended. Shame. Yet generally it had been most enjoyable, most musical, for every second interesting. Another step forward. A pretty good review overall.
I think so. I mean, I don't know if I really agree with that. Is that it was it felt unfinished, or that it ended abruptly. I mean, it's like, what do you really? I don't know. What do you want?
No.
Well, I mean, it's just like, that's the type that I mean is like the kind of viewpoint that I'm talking about is just like, a concerto's got to end like this. It's like, I mean, it can end however you wanted it to.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like, I mean, it didn't feel rushed, and I mean, that felt more like, instead of this grand orchestral ending or whatever, it just, I don't know, it felt like it ended like it should have, I mean, because you have the orchestra and the band together. So it's just like, really, do you need to follow any particular rule?
I think they're just saying that the ending was like, it almost sounded like a bum note.
Kind of lacked like a finality, I guess.
Or like almost like it was accidental, or it wasn't supposed to be that. Let's listen to the very end just to see, like, with that in mind. Like a concert ending right now. Oops, I almost drank my candle. My dog barks again.
I thought it was good.
It was cool. It was kind of like, given that this is being presented as a brand new piece of music, nobody knows it, so they don't know when to. Even like when I watched my daughter's thing yesterday, they started clapping when something clearly wasn't over. I forgot what it was, but it was something I knew, and I was like, you bums, you're clapping already. You know, you always feel like high and mighty when you're watching. You fools, you're clapping. It's not over yet. But it just seemed like they were just more uncertain, because how the hell would you know? No one on Earth had heard this yet, basically. So I don't know.
I thought it was a good ending, because it had a little, you didn't end on the concert ending.
Yeah, which it was ending like that, like everyone's riffing, but then there was it was almost like there was a band ending and then there was an orchestral ending, and I don't know. I don't think the band was even playing during that part. It was just
and the orchestral ending was a little off kilter, and I think that's kind of neat.
I do too. I liked it, but yeah, I agree. I think this was a lot of fun, and I think I don't remember what year I bought this in the 90s, but just hanging out in Boston, it was probably 96, 97 maybe, and I think I have a greater deal of appreciation for this now than I did then. And then it was like, this is a cool thing. It's great for my collection. It's a rare import. I listened to it. I liked it. I appreciated it. And then it's like, whoop, right into the CD collection. And
that's how some albums are,
I don't know that I've listened to this in its entirety in this millennium since I listened to that, so, but that being said, like kind of like you said, I would like to listen to it again and go back and listen to the John Lord version, because I remember really enjoying that as well. And obviously the production on that's better because it was a studio album, but both are really interesting. And it's cool that Lord did this great thing by basically writing this with each member of Deep Purple in mind. And then sadly, two of them didn't even want to be on the studio album, but were greatly replaced by Ashton and Von Elliman and Albert Lee, and so it was still a really great experience on both of them. And then you also get another version in Windows of parts of it anyway, where you get to see Coverdale and Hughes and Fenwick, like all jump in there. So it's a cool that it's this ever evolving piece of music that that he came back to every now and again. Not as celebrated as the concerto, not as redone as the concerto, but very, very interesting. All right. Well, as promised, it was actually a shorter episode.
Hey, yo.
Yay. And we will, we'll be back at you next week. Will the episode be shorter? I don't know.
I do. It probably won't. Because for every short one, we have many long ones.
It's very rare that we, especially back to back like that. But anyway, there you have it. Anything else to say in closing, John, before we wrap up?
No.
That's good. Fielding, you heard it. Clip that for next week.
I had fun. It was a good time was had by all.
This is a much easier episode for us, because it's just like we just sit and listen, and no gradings, no complicated reviews, just a fun little experience of something we both heard before but are listening to with fresh ears for the first time in a long time.
Yes.
Cool. Well, I will see you next week, my friend.
Okay.
All right.
Bye. And I completely forgot to record my audio.